Yadav Krishna, Yadukula Krishna, Sadhu Jana, Sadhu Jana, Sadhu Jana, Madhava, Madhava, Shri Hari Hari, Hare Jana Hari Hari, Hare Jana Hari Hari, Harushaja, Hari Hari, Hare Jana Bolo ke Kereta, Jani Kereta, Hari Hari, Hare Jana Toma bile Hari 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 Yadav Krishna, Yadukula Krishna, Adava Krishna, Sadhjana, 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 Madhavam, Madhavam, Shri Krishna, Ambujalochana, Ambujalochana, Bimbadhara Chandra Bimbadhara Chandra Shamena Sagra Shamena Sharada Chandra Madana Magade Yadav Krishna Yadukula Krishna Yadav Krishna Yadukula Krishna Yadav Krishna Yadukula Krishna Sachidananda Anandira Dirgopita Sarvakaram Prakara Sadmasu Kariksha Surati
Again, Saban Prabhu, Radhika Mataji, thank you so much for waiting. I'm just sending one more reminder to a couple of devotees, then we'll begin. Okay? Yes, just a couple of minutes. Yeah, let us begin with Mangalacharana prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Omagyanadimilandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya. Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale. Swayam Rupa Kada Muhyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Utapadakamala Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rushabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesh Shunyavadi Paschatyadesh Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vranda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim yakripātamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Om Apavitra Pavitro Va Sarvavastam Gatopi Va Yasmaret Pundari Paksham Sabhyabhyantaram Suchihi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. Again, thank you very much, Pallavi Mataji, for joining today. Sapan Prabhu, I really appreciate you are in PST time zone. That means for you it's 4:30 a.m. Right, Prabhu?
No, Prabhuji. It's I joined at 6 a.m. So right now it's 6:30.
Sorry, 6:30 a.m. Right? Yeah, that's good. 6:30 a.m. Haribol. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Radhika Mataji, appreciated your time for joining today, reading Srila Prabhupada small books. So we are at chapter 5. So let me share my screen. Just a minute. Yeah. Actually, today there is a small program within closed community in the Gachibowli Satsang. One of the devotee family, Tulasi Mataji, Rajaram Prabhu, in their homes, they are welcoming Sri Sita Ramchandra Lakshman Hanuman. Those deities from today onwards, they are worshipping in their homes. Tulasi Mataji, Raja Ramesh Prabhu. So those deities we are going to use in our different festivals in all the Gachibowli Satsang community and various other gated communities. So advanced it. Anyway, tomorrow we are not going to meet in this Zoom call. Advanced, wish you all a very happy Ramanavami. No difference between Rama and Krishna. All are identical. Rama's pastimes also, we have to remember, we have to meditate. There is no difference. The Supreme Personality appeared in different ages, different yugas, right? Treta Yugamuna Ramuduga Dvaparayandu Krishnuduga. That's it. Satyugamlo, Satyugam, what happened? Satyugam, different incarnation, Dashavataras, we see. Some of the Dashavataras, we see. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, those past times. In the Kali Yuga, Krishna appeared in the form of as a devotee, as a Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and in the mood of Srimati Radharani, and propagating the holy name of Supreme Lord, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Harinam Sankirtana, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So let us read this chapter today. Very, very important chapter. Why we need to keep a guru? Why we need to have a guru? That's what Srila Prabhupada talks about. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. Krishna himself says the instruction. Evam parampara praptam. This knowledge of spirituality, it has to come from parampara anugatam. Parampara anugatam. Through the disciplic successions. My Guru Maharaj is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada is a disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj is a disciple of Gaurakishore Das Babaji. Gaurakishore Das Babaji is a disciple of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a disciple of Jagannath Das Babaji. Likewise, we see 6 Goswamis. Likewise, ultimately, we reach the point of Krishna. Krishna is the Vande, Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Right? So let us read this. With Radhika Mataji, we can start, Mata.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
Yeah.
Chapter 5, Parampara, Knowledge Through Disciplic Succession. Shri Bhagavan Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Ahamavyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manur Ikshva Kave Bravit. The Blessed Lord said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan, and Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. Bhagavad Gita 4.1. Many ages ago, Krishna imparted the divine knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to Vivaswan, the god of the sun. To the best of our knowledge, the sun is a very hot place, and we do not consider it possible for anyone to live there. It is not even possible to approach the sun very closely with these bodies. However, from the Vedic literatures, we can understand that the sun is a planet just like this one, but that everything there is composed of fire. Just as this planet is predominantly composed of earth, there are other planets which are predominantly composed of fire, water, and air. The living entities on these various planets acquire bodies composed of elements in accordance with the predominating element on the planet. Therefore, those beings who live on the sun have bodies which are composed of fire. Of all beings on the sun, the principal personality is a god by the name of Vivaswan. He is known as the sun god, Surya Narayan. On all planets, there are principal personalities. Just as in the United States, the chief person is the president. From the history called the Mahabharata, we understand that formerly there was only one king on this planet by the name of Maharaj Bharat. He ruled some 5,000 years ago, and the planet was named after him. Subsequently, the earth has become divided into so many different countries. In this way, there is usually one and sometimes many controllers of the various planets in the universe. Should I continue, Prabhuji?
Continue. Continue.
From
Continue.
this verse of the fourth chapter, we learn, yeah, Prabhuji. From this verse of the fourth chapter, we learn that millions of years ago, Sri Krishna imparted the knowledge of Karma Yoga to the sun god Vivaswan. Sri Krishna, who imparts the teachings of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, here indicates that these teachings are not at all new but were enunciated many ages ago on a different planet. Vivaswan, in his turn, repeated these teachings to his son Manu. In turn, Manu imparted the knowledge to his disciple Ikshvaku. Maharaj Ikshvaku was a great king and forefather of Lord Ramachandra. The point being made here is that if one wants to learn Bhagavad Gita and profit by it, there is a process for understanding it, and the process is described here. It is not that Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna for the first time. It is estimated by Vedic authorities that Lord imparted these divine instructions to Vivaswan some 400 million years ago. From the Mahabharata, we understand that Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna some 5,000 years ago. Before Arjuna, the teachings were handed down by disciplic succession, but over such a long period of time, the teachings became lost. एवं एवं परंपरा प्राप्तम इमं राजर्षयो विदु सकलेनेह महाता योगो नष्ट परंतप स एवायं मया तेद्य योग प्रोक्त पुरा तद भक्तोऽसि मे सखा चेति रहस्यं हि इतद उत्तमम्. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in this way, in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science, as it is, appears to be lost. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend. Therefore, you can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Bhagavad Gita 4.23.
Very good. Nice.
Haribol.
These three verses from Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada quoted on this chapter. So this knowledge first given to sun god named Vivaswan. Imam Vivasvase Yogan Proktavan Aham Avyayam Vivaswan Manave Praha Manur Ikshvakave Bravit. So Vivaswan through Manu, and through Manu through Ikshvaku. That way the knowledge, science of yoga instructed. That's where discipline section started. Due course of time, influence of time, time, due to influence of time, this knowledge diminished, destroyed. Because of all the qualities, bad qualities when appears, That's where again on the Kurukshetra battlefield of Kurukshetra, Krishna spoken again to Arjuna. So knowledge has to be received through proper source. That's where parampara system is there. Guru Shishya parampara. Prabhupada quotes another 2 verses from in this connection. Disciplic succession. Knowledge has to receive through disciplic succession. So here, evam parampara, Krishna is only. Krishna's instruction only. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshiyo viduhu sakaleneha mata yogo nasta parantava. Saevayam maya tedya yoga prokta puratana bhaktosmi sakacheti rahasyam etaduttamam. So 2 points. Evam parampara praptam, it has to be received through the parampara system, the Guru disciplic succession. And then mood to understand the scripture. What is the mood? Bhaktosmi and sakacheti. Rahasyam etaduttamam. So it's a secret of all secrets. But that secrets can be revealed a person with the mood of friendly mood with Krishna and friendly mood with Krishna as well as devotional mood with Krishna. Then this knowledge is going to be properly getting, we are going to understand properly. That's the thing. So that is expectation from Krishna. I mean, that's where Krishna says to Arjuna, you are my friend and devotee. You loves me a lot. That's why I'm giving this knowledge. He said, it's the most secret of all secrets. There is one verse in the Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter only. Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, Pavitram, Idamuttamam. Raja Vidya, that's where this book name, right? King of knowledge, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, most confidential, Pavitram, pure, Pavitram, Idamuttamam, the best. Pavitra, another word is transcendental, beyond the moods and beyond the bodily level. That's where this knowledge is perfect. This knowledge is perfect. This knowledge always exists. There is no change in this knowledge. Always like that. No change. And these topics are applicable for everything in this material world. That's why it's called scripture, not material subject matter, correct? So that's the thing. Yeah, let us continue. Sapan Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. This supreme science was thus received through the chain.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah. In Bhagavad Gita, a number of yoga systems are delineated. Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Hatha Yoga, and therefore it is here called yoga. The word yoga means to link up, and the idea is that in yoga, we link our consciousness to God. It is a means for reuniting with God or re-establishing our relationship with Him. In the course of time, this yoga imparted by Sri Krishna was lost. Why is this? Were there no learned sages at the time Sri Krishna was speaking to Arjuna? No. There were so many sages present at that time. By lost, it is meant that the purport of Bhagavad Gita was lost. Scholars may give their own interpretation of Bhagavad Gita, analyzing it according to their own whims, but that is not Bhagavad Gita. That is the point that Sri Krishna is stressing, and the student of Bhagavad Gita should note it. A person may be very good scholar from the material point of view, but that does not qualify him to comment on Bhagavad Gita. In order to understand Bhagavad Gita, we have to accept the principle of disciplic succession, parampara. We must enter into the spirit of Bhagavad Gita and not approach it simply by the viewpoint of erudition. Of all the people, why did Sri Krishna select Arjuna as a recipient of this knowledge? Arjuna was not a great scholar at all, nor was he a yogi, meditator, or a holy man. He was a warrior about to engage in battle. There were many great sages living at that time, and Sri Krishna could have given Bhagavad Gita to them. The answer is that despite being an ordinary man, Arjuna had one great qualification. Bhakto sime sakha cheti. You are my devotee and my friend. That was Arjuna's exceptional qualification, a qualification which the sages did not have. Arjuna knew that Krishna was the supreme personality of Godhead, and therefore he surrendered himself unto him, accepting him as a spiritual master. Unless one is a devotee of Lord Krishna, he cannot possibly understand Bhagavad Gita. If one wants to understand Bhagavad Gita, he cannot take help from other methods. He must understand it as prescribed in Bhagavad Gita itself. By understanding it as Arjuna understood it, If we wish to understand Bhagavad Gita in a different way or given individual interpretation, that may be an exhibition of our scholarship, but it is not Bhagavad Gita. By scholarship, we may be able to manufacture some theory of Bhagavad Gita, just as Mahatma Gandhi did when he interpreted Bhagavad Gita in an effort to support his theory of non-violence. How is it possible to prove non-violence from Bhagavad Gita? The very theme of Bhagavad Gita involves Arjuna's reluctance to fight and Krishna's inducing him to kill his opponents. In fact, Krishna tells Arjuna that the battle had already been decided by the Supreme, that the people who were assembled on the battlefield were predestined never to return. It was Krishna's program that the warriors were all destined to die, and Krishna gave Arjuna the opportunity of taking the credit of conquering them. If fighting is proclaimed a necessity in Bhagavad Gita, how is it possible to prove non-violence from it? Such interpretations are attempts to distort Bhagavad Gita. As soon as the Gita is interpreted according to the motive of an individual, the purpose is lost. It is stated that we cannot attain the conclusion of the Vedic literature by force of our own logic or argument. There are many things which do not come with justification of our sense of logic. As far as scriptures are concerned, we find different scriptures describing the absolute truth in different ways. If we analyze all of them, there will be bewilderment. There are also many philosophers with different opinions, and they are always contradicting one another. If the truth cannot be understood by reading various scriptures, by logical argument or philosophical theories, then how can it be attained? The fact is that the wisdom of the absolute truth is very confidential, but if we follow the authorities, it can be understood.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare
Prabhu. Hare Krishna. That's what it is, point. The mood has to develop like, devotional mood and friendly mood. You have to develop with Krishna, then so that this knowledge is going to be revealed. We are not, and why Krishna chosen? Because of these two qualities. There were many great sages during that time. Krishna selected this person, Arjuna, for the humble devotee and friendly mood. That's okay. So, very straightforward, purport, and easy to understand. Very nice. So let us continue. Pallavi Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Kanchalavani Mataji. In India.
It is in India, na Prabhuji?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
India, there are disciplic successions coming from Ramanujacharya, Madhavacharya, Nimbaraka, Vinaswami, and other great sages. The Vedic literatures are understood through the superior spiritual masters. Arjuna understood Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, and if we wish to understand it, we have to understand it from Arjuna, not from any other source. If we have any knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, we have to see how it tallies with the understanding of Arjuna. If we understand Bhagavad Gita in the same way that Arjuna did, we should know that our understanding is correct. This should be the criteria for our studying of Bhagavad Gita. If we actually want to receive benefit from Bhagavad Gita, we have to follow this principle. Bhagavad Gita is not an ordinary book of knowledge, which we can purchase from the marketplace, read, and merely consult a dictionary to understand. This is not possible. If it were, Krishna would never have told Arjuna that the science was lost. It is not difficult to understand the necessity of going through the disciplic succession to understand Bhagavad Gita. If we wish to be a lawyer, an engineer, or doctor, we have to receive knowledge from the authoritative lawyers, engineers, and doctors. A new lawyer has to become an apprentice of an experienced lawyer, or a young man studying to be a doctor has to become an intern and work with those who are already licensed practitioners. Our knowledge of a subject cannot be perfectionalized unless we receive it through authoritative sources. There are two processes for attaining knowledge. One is inductive and the other is deductive. The deductive method is considered to be more perfect. We may take a premise such as all men are mortal, and no one need discuss how man is mortal. It is generally accepted that this is the case. The deductive conclusion is Mr. Johnson is a man, therefore Mr. Johnson is mortal. But how is the premise that all men are mortal arrived at? followers of the inductive method wish to arrive at this premise through experiment and observations. We may thus study that this man died and that man died, etc. And after seeing many men have died, we may conclude or generalize that all men are mortal. But there is a major defect in this inductive method, and that is that our experience is limited. We may never have seen a man who is not mortal, but we are judging this on our own personal experience, which is finite. Our senses have limited power, and there are so many defects in our conditional state. The inductive process, consequently, is not always perfect, whereas the deductive process from a source of perfect knowledge is perfect. The Vedic process is such a process.
You can read this one also. Okay.
Yeah. Although the authorities acknowledge, there are many passages in Bhagavad Gita which appear to be dogmatic. For instance, in the 7th chapter, Sri Krishna says, Matha parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam prottam sutre mani ghana iva. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Bhagavad Gita 7.7. Sri Krishna is saying that there is no authority greater than him, and this appears to be very dogmatic. If I say there is no one greater than me, people would think, oh, Swamiji is very proud. If a man who is conditioned by so many imperfections says that he is the greatest of all, he blasphemes. But Krishna can say this, for we can understand from the histories that even while he was on this earth, he was considered the greatest personality of his time. Indeed, he was the greatest in all fields of act. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother. Hare Krishna. Another beautiful verse taken from Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada put it here. Matta parataram nanyad kinchid asidananjayamai sarvamidam protam sutre manidanaiva. O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me. As pearls strung on a thread. Source is Krishna, everything. That is what it is. I am, what is saying? Matta parataram, no one, no authority greater than him. There is Asamurdhva, there is a Sanskrit word, Asamurdhva. Asamurdhva means no one is equal to Krishna and no one is greater than Krishna. So you would understand, because some people say that, it's a proud statement. But it's Prabhupada nicely written here. If a man who is conditioned by so many imperfections says that he is the greatest of all, he blasphemes. But Krishna can say this, for we can understand from the histories that even while he was on his earth, he was considered the greatest personality of his time. He was the greatest in all fields of activity. They are right, as see, Mahabharata runs the behind the scenes. The Sutradhari, who is the Sutradhari back behind the scenes? Nataka. నడిపించిన నాటకం ఎవరు అది కృష్ణుడే అసలు మొత్తం if we think in that perspective, everything. Now the Mahabharata only this text come, right? Bhagavad Gita. I forgot exactly which cantos are like that, but actually this knowledge is a part of Mahabharata on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, correct? So that's the thing. Krishna is always perfect. Krishna is the source of everything, cause of all causes. He is the master and he is the supreme personality of God. He can know everything, present, past, future, etc. So, now we are trying to understand his nature, his position, his activities through Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. To meditate upon those qualities. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, Dham. So, this one. So there are two processes Prabhupada mentioned here. Inductive process, deductive process. In Sanskrit, it's called Arohana Pantha, Avarohana Pantha. Pantha means way, a way. Arohana Pantha, Avarohana Pantha. Arohana means from A to Z. Avarohana Pantha means Z to A. So Avarohana Pantha, the deductive process, the deductive way of understanding Krishna is a perfect. How can we understand? It's a top-down approach. Krishna is the cause of everything. Is the original creator. Is everything. Aham Sarvasya Prabhu is a creator of material world as well as spiritual world. Is a position clear, right? So now this knowledge we are receiving through Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, some other scriptures. So that's the thing. So it starts from Krishna through various teachers. We have 4 sampradayas. Many times we discussed 4 sampradaya: Brahma sampradaya, Sri sampradaya, Rudra sampradaya, Kumara sampradaya. Kumara sampradaya's teacher is Nimbarkar Swami. Rudra sampradaya teacher is Vishnu Swami. Sri sampradaya teacher is Ramanujacharya in South India. Last year, great festival celebrated. Ramanujacharya Sahasrabdi festival. 1000 years of, he took his pastime. 1000 years back, 1000 years of time since he propagated the Krishna consciousness. We have a big temple in that area. We all know a statue of equality. Ramanujacharya. He is from Sri Sampradaya, and Madhvacharya come from Brahma Sambrahma. That's why Madhvacharya. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is another. There is no separate disciplic section as a part of Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya with the perfect understanding of Krishna, Krishna's position, and Krishna's internal energy called Radharani with her position. So we got that information. So now, Arohana Pada means from Krishna through to us. Right now, if you see Bhagavad Gita as it is book, Srila Prabhupada nicely quoted the Parampara. 32, I think 32 is Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And before that, the 31 teachers from the Krishna was present on this. That's why it's a top-down approach. Avarohana Pantha, deductive process. Deductive process is the best process. That's what Prabhupada here written. Our senses have limited power. So, see this one, see. Our senses have limited power. There are so many defects in our conditional state. So the inductive process consequently is not always perfect, whereas the deductive process from a source of perfect knowledge is perfect. That means Krishna is the source of everything, right? So we are getting the knowledge from directly Krishna through various agents, of course, gurus, their different spiritual masters, Siksha Guru, Diksha Guru, Pada Pradaksha Guru, Chaitya Guru, different ways. But ultimately, source of everything is Krishna. So that's why it's a top-down approach. A deductive process is the perfect approach to understand the spiritual knowledge. So now let us continue again. Radhika Mataji. I think I have seen one more devotee. Yeah. Swapna Mata Haribol. Yeah, please read. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you for joining. Yeah, please read.
Yes, Prabhuji. According to the Vedic system, knowledge which is achieved from the greatest authority is considered perfect. According to the Vedas, there are 3 kinds of proof: pratyaksha, anumana, and sabda. One is by direct visual perception. If a person is sitting in front of me, I can see him sitting there, and my knowledge of his sitting there is received through my eyes. The second method, anumana, is auricular. We may hear children playing outside, and by hearing, we can conjecture that they are there. And the third method is the method of taking truths from the higher authority, such as saying that man is mortal, is accepted from higher authorities. Everyone accepts this, but no one has experienced that all men are mortal. By tradition, we have to accept this. If someone asks, who found this truth first? Did you discover it? It is very difficult to say. All we can say is that the knowledge is coming down and that we can accept it. Out of the 3 modes of acquiring knowledge, the Vedas are that the third method, that of receiving knowledge from higher authorities, is the most perfect. Direct perception is always imperfect, especially in the conditional stage of life. By direct perception, we can see
The sun is just like a disk, no larger than the plate we eat on. From scientists, however, we came to understand that the sun is many thousands of times larger than the earth. So we are we to accept? Are we to accept the scientific proclamation, the proclamation of authorities, or our own experience? Although we cannot ourselves prove how larger the sun is, we accept the verdict of astronomers. In this way, we are accepting the statements of authorities in every field of our activity. From newspapers and radio, we also understand that such and such events are taking place in China and India and other places all around the earth. We are not experiencing these events directly, and we don't know that such events are actually taking place, but we accept the authority of the newspapers and radio. We
Okay, yeah.
authorities in order to get knowledge, and when the authority is perfect, our knowledge is perfect. According to the Vedic sources, all authorities, Krishna is the greatest and most perfect. Matta parataram nyanyat kinchitasti dhananjaya. Not only does Krishna proclaim himself to be the highest authority, but this is also accepted by the great sages and scholars of Bhagavad Gita. If we do not accept Krishna as authority and take his words as they are, we cannot derive any benefit from Bhagavad Gita. It is not dogmatic, it is a fact. If we study scrutin-
Scrutinizingly.
what,
Scrutinizing.
scrutinizingly what Krishna says, we will find that is right. Even scholars like Shankaracharya, who have different opinions from the personality of Godhead, admit that Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. Krishna is Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So, Shankaracharya also concluded his teachings lastly. What the song written by Shankaracharya, Jagannath and this one, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Mudhamate. That one. Bhaja Govindam, play, okay, respects to Supreme Lord Govinda. He concluded that. So here too, one point nicely mentioned, Srila Prabhupada, three kinds. According to the Vedas, there are three kinds of proof: Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Shabda. Only is by direct visual perception. If a person is sitting in front of me, I can see him sitting there, and my knowledge is of his sitting there is received through my eyes. The second method, Anumana, is auricular. We may hear children playing outside, and by hearing, we conjecture that they are there. And the third method is the method of taking truths from a higher authority, such as saying is man is mortal is accepted from higher authorities. So three, Pratyaksha Pramanam, Shabda Pramanam, and Anumana. Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Shabda Pramanam. Pratyaksha is a direct perception, direct experience through senses. Anumana is on and off, like we may hear out some, we hear something they are playing, either they are playing or they are playing some different games or whatever. It's a kind of for example, in Anumana we see on the road, the dark night we drive, for example, suddenly we see on the road some snake kind of object, but it's not a snake, just a thread. It looks like a snake. We see, I mean, not only driving, but in sometimes we see exactly like snake, but it's just a thread, non-moving entity. So that's the thing. So that is Anumana, whether it is in snake or normal thread, that's the kind of thing. And Shabda Pramana is the perfect, because Shabda Pramana, Vedas all talks about Shruti, Shabda Pramana. So Shabda Pramana is the best method. Shabda Pramana means, for example, if we want to understand who is our father, how to approach? We have to check with our mom. Our mom was going to say, he is the father. So Vedas are mothers. Vedas are our mothers. Especially In this age of Kali, all the Vedas we cannot able to read. So how many Vedas there? 4 Vedas: Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvana Veda, and then 18 Puranas there, and then this one Madhyalila, Bhagavatam. If you see, 18,000 verses, 12 cantos. How much time we have? How many? If we regularly read every day, 30 minutes or 40 minutes, it will take at least 6 to 7 years to complete that scripture. So Shabda Pramana is Shabda. Vedas are, especially Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Ramayana, Mahabharata. These scriptures are Shabda Pramanam. We have to hear and learn. That's it. And it's like our mother. Just like we approach our mother to find out father, just like approach these Vedas to find out our real father. Vedesha Sarvam Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Krut Vedavi Devacham. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am the compiler and I am the knower of the Vedas. So if we approach Vedas, we ultimately find out Krishna is our eternal father, Krishna is our ever well-wisher, Krishna is our friend, Krishna is our master, like that. So 3 things, no? Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Shabda Pramana. Yes, so let us continue from this paragraph. Again, Radhika Mataji.
Vedic knowledge. Vedic
Yes, ma'am.
refers to it as Puratana, which means ancient. Krishna says that millions of years before he spoke this yoga to the sun god, and we do not know how many millions of years before that. Every year. Our fund of knowledge is very poor. We do not even know more than 5,000 years, but the Vedic literatures give history that started thousands of years ago. Just because we have no knowledge of what happened 3,000 years ago on this planet, we cannot conclude that there was no history then. Of course, one can disclaim the historical validity of Krishna. One may say that Krishna, according to Mahabharata, lived 5,000 years ago. And this being the case, there is no possibility of his having spoken Bhagavad Gita to the sun god so many millions of years before. If I said that I gave a speech on the sun some millions of years ago to the sun god, people would say Swamiji is speaking some nonsense. But this is not the case with Krishna, for he is the supreme personality of Godhead. Whether we believe that Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to the sun god or not, this fact is being accepted by Arjuna. Arjuna accepted Krishna as the supreme lord, and therefore he knew that it was quite possible for Krishna to have spoken to someone millions of years before. Although Arjuna personally accepts the statements of Sri Krishna, in order to clarify the situation for people who would come after him, he asked, अपरं भवतो जन्म परं जन्म विवस्वत कथम् एतद्विजानीयां त्वम् आदौ प्रोक्तवानिति. The sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? Bhagavad Gita 4.4. Actually, this is a very intelligent question, and Krishna answers it in this way. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava charjuna tani aham veda sarvani natvam veda parantapa. Many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot. O subduer of the enemy. Bhagavad Gita 4.5.
Hari.
Although, okay.
Continue.
Okay.
Yes.
Although Krishna is God, he incarnates many times. Arjuna, being a living entity, also takes his birth many times. The difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and a living entity is Tani Aham Veda Sarvani. Krishna remembers the events of his past incarnations, whereas the living entity cannot remember. That is one of the differences between God and man. God is eternal and we are also eternal. But the difference is that we are always changing our bodies. At death, We forget the events of our lifetime. Death means forgetfulness. That's all. At night, when we go to sleep, we forget that we are the husband of such and such a wife and the father of such and such children. We forget ourselves in sleep, but when we wake up, we remember, oh, I am so and so, and I must do such and such. It is a fact that in our previous lives, we had our bodies with other families, fathers, mothers, and so on in other countries. But we have forgotten all of these. We might have been dogs or cats or men or gods, whatever we were. We have now forgotten all of these. Haribol Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Suddenly, maybe my internet issue or you did something. We couldn't hear last few
Okay,
lines.
well, should I repeat, Prabhuji? Yeah,
Yeah, we forgot ourselves in sleep. Up and
I'll
sudden.
just.
Yeah.
Oh, I am so and so, and I must do such and such. Am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes.
It is a fact that in our previous lives we had other bodies with other families, fathers, mothers, and so on in other countries, but we have forgotten all of these. We might have been dogs or cats or men or gods, whatever we were, we have now forgotten.
Thank you, Mataji. So that's the thing. Krishna knows everything. See, himself says, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavatarjuna tani aham veda sarvani natvam vetta parantapa. Many, many births, both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot. Go somewhere of the enemy. 4.5. Aparam bhavato janma, param janma vivasvatah, katam etad vijaniyam, tvam adau proktavan iti. Sun God Vivaswan is senior question asked me, asked by Arjuna, and Krishna's reply that, I know all of their lives, your life also, all the present, past, and future, how it's going. He knows everything. That's why it's called, there is one Sanskrit word, Trikalagya. Trikala means the column, time is our past tense, or present tense, or future tense. So all these tenses, all these times, Krishna only knows everything. That's the thing. So, yeah, why Prabhupada quoted this verse? Because he wanted to give this knowledge first. Vedic knowledge is not a recent discovery. It's a revealed, it's old, it's very old, and it was existing way before, since time immemorial. We say that since time immemorial, right? So that numbers given, right? This book of knowledge written in the 5,000 years back, and about these. Just because we have no knowledge of what happened 3,000 years ago on this planet with Krishna, we may say that Krishna, according to Mahabharata, lived 5,000 years ago. And this being the case, there is no possibility of his having spoken Bhagavad Gita to the sun god so many millions of years before. If I said that I gave a speech on the sun some millions of years ago to the sun god, people would say Swamiji speaking some nonsense. Yeah, millions of years ago, this knowledge is revealed to sun god Vivaswan. That means this knowledge is always there, way before 5,000 years ago also. What happens in 5,000 years ago? They put it in a proper documentation, like, Talapatra Grandhalu, to record nicely the form of text. And slowly we got the paper, that's the scientific, that's the revolution. And on the paper, they are printing and, distributing books and taking books and reading. So ultimately, this is the source. Way back, this knowledge is existed. That's why he knows everything. But Arjuna didn't know it. His question is, the sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. He is there since long time. How can I understand? I mean, this knowledge is received by you. Then only Krishna says, I know everything, present, past, and future. Okay, so let us continue from here. Despite all this, okay. So now, Pallavi Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Anyway, Sapan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes.
Despite all these changes as living entities, we are eternal. Just as in previous lives, we are prepared for this body. In this lifetime, we are preparing for another body. We get our bodies according to our karma or activities. Those who are in the mode of goodness are prompted to higher planets in higher status of life. Bhagavad Gita 14.14. Those who die in the mode of passion remain on earth, and those who die in the mode of ignorance may fall into animal species of life or may be transferred to a lower planet. This is the process that has been going on, but we forget it. At one time, Indra, the king of heaven, committed an offense at the feet of his spiritual master, and his spiritual master cursed him to take the birth of a hog. Thus, the throne of the heavenly kingdom became empty as Indra went down to earth to become a hog. Seeing this situation, Brahma came to earth and addressed the hog. My dear sir, you have become a hog on this planet earth. I have come to deliver you. Come with me at once. But the hog replied, Oh, I cannot go with you. I have so many responsibilities, my children, wife, and this nice hog society. Even though Brahma promised to take him back to heaven, Indra, in the form of a hog, refused. This is called forgetfulness. Similarly, Lord Krishna comes to us and says, What are you doing in this material world? Sarva dharman parityaja, mamekam sharanam braja. Come to me, I will give you all protection. But we say, I do not believe in you, sir. I have more important business here. This is the position of the conditioned soul, forgetfulness. This forgetfulness is quickly dissipated by following in the path of disciplic succession.
Jai. So in this chapter,
Prabhuji, who was Indra's guru, spiritual master?
I think Bruhaspati. I forgot. Prabhuji. Maybe Bruhaspati. Let me check. I'll find out. Maybe Bruhaspati. All the demigods, spiritual master. I think Bruhaspati. Let me check. So this chapter also done. Guru disciplic succession. Lastly, Prabhupada, what he is writing here? And committed an offense in the feet of his spiritual master. Bruhaspati only. His spiritual master cursed him to take the birth of a hog. Thus, the throne of the heavenly kingdom became empty as Indra went to earth to become a hog. Seeing the situation, Brahma came to earth and addressed the hog. My dear sir, you have become a hog on this planet earth. I have come to deliver you. Come with me at once. But the hog replied, Oh, I cannot go with you. I have so many responsibilities, my children, wife, nice hog society. Hog society. That's it. Forgetfulness, ultimately what he's saying. Forgetfulness of our identity, forgetfulness of Krishna, that we are all coming from. That is everything forgetfulness. Proper, right? Last lines, right? I don't, but we say, I don't believe you, sir. Krishna says, no, sir, surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Sarvadharman parityajya mami kamcharanam raja. Aham dvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami masuchaha. So I don't believe you, sir. I have more important business here. I have more important business here because this is what, I have my family, I have my children, I have my job. I need to take responsibility. I have to enjoy this one. This is the thing. They never ever get a chance to read the scriptures. Of course, they have some devotion. Since we are in India, we come from Indian background. Not everybody like Westerners, but नाम के वास्ते austerity for ritual purpose, right? But when we come to the ISKCON institution, education, cultural, moral principle, education institution, we practice spirituality and understand knowledge. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevana, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. This is the 9 devotional process which gives a lot of energy. So here, spiritual energy, because we are working on the platform of spiritual energy. Because we are reading. We are under the Yoga Maya. We are in because there is no difference between Krishna and his teachings actually. It's come from him. The personality, the person is there. Of course, we are seeing Prabhupada in person in his books. He lives always. Next 10,000 years, I am living in my books. The instruction. So, but this is the problem, forgetfulness is the problem. But we say, I don't believe you, sir. I have more important business here. This is the position of the conditional soul, forgetfulness. This forgetfulness is quickly dissipated by following in the path of disciplic succession. Dissipated means cleared. Consciousness is going to be cleared. Our way of life is going to be changed. We adopt the principles of Bhakti Yoga, and we live, of course, same life, but enhanced and reinventing. That's not there in the previous lives, and that's not there up to the point of practicing Krishna consciousness. Yeah, that's the thing. We have to follow that Guru disciple succession in order to understand this knowledge. Okay, Hare Krishna. So let us spend some more time. Actually, we have another 20 minutes. Let us read. Let me see how big this chapter 6. Chapter 6 is really big. Okay, some part we will complete. It's up to you. Prabhuji and Mataji, you tell me. Can we complete 6th chapter or can we complete on Friday? No rush actually, it's up to us. Now it's 7 in India, 7.
We can do as much as we can, Prabhuji.
Yes, another 10-15 minutes let us spend. Okay, Prabhu, thank you. Pallavi Mataji, are you there? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Yeah, chapter 6 start.
Okay, Prabhuji. Chapter 6, knowledge of Krishna's appearances and activities. There are two forces of nature working in us. By one, we decide that in this lifetime, we will make spiritual advancement. But at the next moment, the other force, Maya or illusory energy, says, what is all this trouble that you're going to? Just enjoy this life and be easy with yourself. This tendency to fall into forgetfulness is the difference between God and man. Arjuna is companion and associate of Krishna's, and whenever Krishna appears on any planet, Arjuna also takes birth and appears with him. When Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to the sun god, Arjuna was also present with him, but being a finite living entity, Arjuna could not remember. Forgetfulness is the nature of the living entity. We cannot even remember what we were doing at this exact time yesterday or a week ago. If we cannot remember this, how is it possible to remember what happened in our previous lives? At this point, we may ask how it is that Krishna can remember and we cannot. And the answer is that Krishna does not change his body. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swam adhisthaya sambhavami atma mayaya. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all sentient beings, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Bhagavad Gita 4.6. The word Atma Maya means that Krishna descends as he is. He does not change his body, but we as conditioned souls change us, and because of this we forget. Krishna knows not only the past, present, and future of his activities, but the past, present, and future of everyone's activities. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani karjuna bhavishyami cha bhutani mamtu vedana kashchana. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all the things they are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. Bhagavad Gita 7.26. Continue, Jayamantara Prabhuji.
Continue, yes.
In Srimad Bhagavatam, we also find that the Supreme Lord is defined as one who knows everything. This is not the case with even the most elevated living entities such as Brahma and Shiva. Only Vishnu or Krishna knows everything. We may also ask that if the Lord does not change his body, why does he comes as an incarnation? There is much difference among philosophers concerning this question. Some say that Krishna assumes a material body when he comes, but this is not the case. If he is assumed a material body like us, he could not remember for forgetfulness is due to the material body. The actual conclusion is that he doesn't change his body. God is called all powerful, and in the verse quoted above, his omnipotence is explained. Krishna has no birth and is eternal. Similarly, the living entity has no birth and is also eternal. It is only the body with which the living entity identifies that takes birth. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So this chapter begins with these two verses, important verses. Knowledge of Krishna's appearances and activities. There are two forces of nature working in us. What is the two forces? What are the two forces? By one, we decide that in this lifetime we will make spiritual advancement, but in the next moment, other force, Maya, the illusory energy says. What is all this trouble that you are going to? Just enjoy this life and be easy with yourself. This is the tendency. Forgetfulness is a problem, like why forgetfulness will come? Because as long as we have material body, we are in the forgetfulness mode. Because of the nature is designed like that. Mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. The activities created by these three different modes. We are completely forgetful about Krishna. Arjuna is a companion associate of Krishna and Award, and whenever Krishna appears on any planet, Arjuna also takes birth and appears with him. His paraphernalia, his entourage, everything comes in every millennium like that. So when Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to the sun god, Arjuna was also present with him, but being finite living entity, Arjuna could not remember. Forgetfulness is the nature of the living entity. So forgetfulness, this one, matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Knowledge, smriti, remembrance, matta smriti jnanam, knowledge, apohanam, forgetfulness. That is a great quality Krishna has given to us. Forgetfulness of our previous life. If somebody in the form of different bodies, and if he has got the same consciousness, he won't be able to tolerate the same consciousness with this human body. That's where forgetfulness also is a great quality that is given to us. But forgetfulness of what? For bad things. Forgetfulness is a very bad. Forgetfulness towards bad things. That's good. Forgetfulness, the previous lives. Anyway, that quality is nature actually. మర్చిపోవడం అనేది చాలా సహజం కదా. That's where Krishna's nature, the nature of the living entity. We cannot even remember 10 days back ఏం కూర వండుకున్నాము, ఏం తిన్నాము, ఏం చేసినాము, ఆ టైంకి ఎగ్జాక్ట్ టైంకి ఎంతమంది సడన్ గా గుర్తుపెట్టుకొని చెప్పాలి. అంతే 2 రోజులు అసలు ఈ మధ్య పే టు అటెన్షన్ అనేది తగ్గిపోయింది. యాక్చువల్గా ఈ ఫోకస్ అనేది తగ్గిపోయింది బికాస్ ఆఫ్ too many technological advancements, smartphones, tabs, etc. People are addicted to the gadgets, electronic gadgets, become slaves in the hands of these electronic gadgets. So WhatsApp messages, always something, and social media, always in the social media and update every moment in their life, personal life. They post in the groups and sharing their. What kind of happiness is that? That is a temporary pleasure. Maybe they get so many people are connected to that person. Maybe seeing, but what happens? What is their real happiness? So forgetfulness is the nature of the living entity. We cannot even remember what we were doing at this exact time yesterday or week ago. If we cannot remember this, how is it possible to remember what happened in our previous lives? Simple example, no? If we cannot remember this, what is that? At exact time, 1 week back, what we have taken? At least 2 days, 2 weeks back. Not 2 weeks, 2 days back. It's a forgetfulness will come. That is there. At this point, we may ask how it is that Krishna can remember and we cannot. The answer is Krishna does not change his body. Apijo ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swam adhishtaya sambhavami atmamaya. That's where Krishna says, my body is transcendental body. I am unborn, not just like you got this material body. No, when he appears on the material world, he appears with his transcendental body. transcendental body, no material elements there. That's where we see Krishna. Krishna's pictures, we see anytime old pictures. He always Navayavanamcha, always youthful stage, right? Because of the transcendental personality, supreme personality. And this is one of the important words. Vedaham samatitya, then samatitya. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjana bhavishyami bhutani mamtu veda nakaschana. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one knows. Prabhupada writes here. On point, let us read and then can go to another paragraph. This statement, you see. Why does he come as an incarnation? There is much difference among philosophers concerning the question. Some say that Krishna assumes a material body when he comes, but this is not the case. He assumed a material body like ours. He could not remember for forgetfulness due to the material body. The actual position is that it does not change his body. God is called all powerful, and in the verse quoted above, omnipotence. Krishna is no birth, that's why he is eternal. Similarly, living entities also, the living entity right now in our bodies, the soul occupied this material body. We have two bodies, material body and spiritual body. That's why our life is always changing in these two. According to one's desires, one body after another body, transmigration taking place. But the desires for Krishna, if we desire for Krishna, we won't get any material body. We just get the spiritual body to serve Supreme Lord. Everything is spiritualized. One point actually I want to in the very beginning of yeah, this is our the revival of our original Satchidananda spiritual body. What is the Sat? Sat means eternal, full of Chit means full of knowledge, and Ananda means full of blissful nature. This material body is neither Sat, Chit, or Ananda. It is Asat, Achit, and Nirananda. And it is perishable. So let us continue from this paragraph again. Yeah, actually, this one I wanted to read again. Krishna's birth, his appearance and disappearance are linked as likened unto the appearance and disappearance of the sun. In the morning, it appears as if the sun is born from the eastern horizon, but actually it is not. The sun is neither rising nor setting. It is as it is in its position. All risings and settings are due to the rotation of earth. Similarly, in Vedic literature, these are prescribed schedules for the appearance and disappearance of Sri Krishna. Krishna's rising is just like the sun. The sun is rising and setting, going on at every moment. Somewhere in the world, people are witnessing sunrise and sunset. It is not that our point, Krishna is born, and at another point, he is gone. No, he is always there somewhere. But he appears to come and go. Krishna appears and disappears in many universes. You only have experience of this one universe. But from Vedic literature, we can understand that this universe is but a part of the infinite manifestation of the Supreme Lord. This one, let us read. Mataji, Swapna Mataji. I think Swapna Mataji is not there. Sapan Prabhu,
Hare Krishna. Although Krishna is the Supreme Lord and is unborn and unchangeable, he appears in his original transcendental nature. It is stated that there are many kinds of nature. These have been categorized into three basic types. There is external nature, internal nature, and marginal nature. The external nature is the manifestation of this material world, and in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, this is described as apara or material nature. When Krishna appears, he accepts the higher nature, Prakritim Swam, not the inferior material nature. Sometimes the head of a state may go to the prison house in order to inspect the prison and see the inmates there, but the prisoners are in error of if they think the head of the state has come to prison, so he is a prisoner just like us. As pointed out before, Sri Krishna states that fools deride him when he descends in human form, Bhagavad Gita 9.11. Krishna, as the Supreme Lord, can come here at any time, and we cannot object and say that he cannot come. He is fully independent. He can come and disappear as he likes. If a head of a state goes to visit a prison, we are not to assume that he is forced to do so. Krishna comes with a purpose, and that is to reclaim fallen conditioned souls. We do not love Krishna, but Krishna loves us. He claims everyone as his son. Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya Murtaya Sambhavantiya Tasam Brahma Mahadyonir Aham Bija Pradapita. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature. And I am the seed-giving father. Bhagavad Gita 14.4. The father is always affectionate to the son. The son may forget the father, but the father can never forget the son. Krishna comes to the material universe out of his love for us to deliver us from
1 second.
From miseries of birth and death. He says, my dear sons, why are you rotting in this miserable world? Come to me. I'll give you all protection. We are sons of the Supreme, and we can enjoy life very supremely without any misery, without any doubt. Therefore, we should not think that Krishna comes here just as we do, being obliged by the laws of nature. The Sanskrit word avatara literally means he who descends, one who descends from the spiritual universe into the material universe through his own will is called avatara. Sometimes Sri Krishna descends himself, and sometimes he sends his representative. The major religions of the world, Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, and Muslim, believe in some supreme authority or personality coming down from the kingdom of God. In the Christian religion, Jesus Christ claimed to be the Son of the God and to be coming from the kingdom of the God to reclaim conditioned souls. As followers of Bhagavad Gita, we admit this claim to be true. So basically, there is no difference of opinion. In details, there may be differences due to differences in culture, climate, people, but the basic principle remains the same. That is, God or his representatives come to reclaim conditioned soul. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Bhagavad Gita 4.7. Continue, Shal Prabhuji.
Yeah, ఇక్కడ కంటిన్యూ చేసి ఆపేద్దాం చదవండి ఇక.
God is very compassionate. He wishes to see our miseries cease. But we are trying to adjust these miseries because we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. We are not meant for these miseries, but somehow or other we have voluntarily accepted them. There are miseries arising from body and mind, from other living entities, and from natural catastrophes. We are either suffering from all the three miseries or at least from one. We are always trying to make a solution to these miseries, and this attempt constitutes our struggle for existence. That solution cannot be made by our tiny brain. It can be made only when we take to the shelter of the Supreme Lord. We can become happy when we are reinstated in our constitutional position, and Bhagavad Gita is meant to reinstate us in that position. God and his representative also come to help. As stated previously, they descend upon the material world from the superior nature and are not subject to the laws of birth, old age, disease, and death. Krishna gives Arjuna the following reasons for his descent upon the world. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. In order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I advent myself millennium after millennium. Bhagavad Gita 4.8.
Hari Bol. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. We can stop here. Just to see the things. Yeah. One point, Krishna as Supreme Lord can come here at any time. And he can come at any time. We cannot object and say that he cannot come. He is fully independent. And he can come and disappear as he likes. If the head of a state goes to visit a prison, we are not to assume that he is forced to do so. Krishna comes with a purpose. That is to reclaim fallen conditioned souls. Reclaim fallen conditioned souls. We do not love Krishna, but Krishna loves us. He claims everyone as his son. Sarvayonishu kaunteya murteya sambhavanti yatasham brahma mahadionir aham bija pradapita. He is a seed giving father. Should be understood that all species of life, son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed giving father. The father is always affectionate to the son. That's an example we will see. And another two verses, Yada Yada Dharmasya Planadoti Bharata Abhyudhana Dharmasya Tadatmana Chijamyaham Paritranaya Sadhana Vinashaya Chidishkutam Dharma Samsthapanarthaya Prasambhavami Yugi. To protect his devotees, to annihilate miscreants. Krishna comes. Because to re-establish the religion. So that's the thing. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to establish the Kali Yuga Dharma, Harinam Sankirtan. So this is one paragraph. Let us read again and we'll wrap up. Okay, very nice. We can become happy when we Radhika Mother, can you read this again? It's very nice. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah.
ఈ ఒక్క paragraph చదవండి దాన్ని
We can become happy when we are reinstated in our constitutional position, and Bhagavad Gita is meant to reinstate us in that position. God and his representative also come to help. As stated previously, they descend upon the material world from the superior nature and are not subject to the laws of birth, old age, disease, and death. Krishna gives Arjuna the following reasons for his descent upon the world. परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. In order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I advent myself millennium after millennium. Bhagavad Gita 4.8.
That's the thing. How can we become happy? So this is the answer. When we are reinstated in our constitutional position, and Bhagavad Gita is meant to reinstate us in that position. When we read Bhagavad Gita, we understand our position. When we read Bhagavad Gita, we know what exactly needs to be done with this life. When we read Bhagavad Gita, we understand wonderful spiritual concepts, which the knowledge. How can we practice spiritual life unless we know the knowledge? Bhagavad Gita talks about various things. 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita, right? Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma. Spread all these topics spread over these, say in those 700 verses. So how karma works, how the material modes works, how the time works, how these Supreme Personality of Godhead, what is expectation, what is living entity. Everything is there in Bhagavad Gita. So we have to understand how can we become happy. First, we have to understand our constitutional position. Prabhupada writes many times. What is the constitutional position? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. One line. Jivera Swarupai Krishna Nityadas. Our position is servant of Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. That's a perfect. We never ever become master. If you understand that position, like I am a servant of Krishna. I am a das of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then we can understand the position. Yes, I am situated in this position. Now my duty is to serve. With Krishnera Nityadas, Das what is the duty of Das? Service. Surrender to a Guru and spiritual Guru, spiritual master, and ultimately Krishna. When we surrender to Guru, Krishna is pleased actually, automatically. Because Guru means is a wonderful devotee, pure devotee of Supreme Lord. But when we surrender to a Guru, when we serve his instructions, when we follow instructions sincerely, Krishna automatically pleased. That's it. That's what it is. Redirection. The mercy comes through him, through disciplic succession, through various spiritual masters, and ultimately all the conditioned fallen living entities to reclaim why his gurus comes, why Krishna comes, to reclaim the conditioned selves. That's what we have to understand our position. This one, Paritranaya Sadhunam, he is going to help his devotees. When dharma is not proper, Krishna is going to come and help his devotees and destroy these bad guys. Paritranaya Sadhunam, and that's where re-establish on good things, and he disappear like that. It happened. It's a cycle. Yuga dharma, yuga cycles. So thank you so much for your attention. Pallavi Mataji, Sapan Prabhu, Radhika Mataji, Swapna Mataji, thank you so much again. Dandavat pranams. Vancha kalpatanubhyascha. Kripa sindhubhya evacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Transcendental Book Reading ki jai. Rajavidya, the King of Knowledge Book ki jai. Nitai Gaur Hari Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Okay. Thank you so much. See you all on Friday. Okay. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare